Okay, nailed it. Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. My name is JC. If you haven't seen my face before, today's video is my August reading wrap up. Now, if you're used to watching my wrap ups, I usually have this like vlog style where I take you along with me throughout the day as we prep for the reading wrap up, and then we do the reading wrap up and I talk about the next month's TBR. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I just don't have time for that today. I don't have time for that this upcoming week. I leave in a couple days and I have plans between now and then, so I'm like, okay, if I'm filming a wrap up, I just gotta sit down and do it. So today's video is just focused on the books that I read in August. Now, if I'm extra honest, I didn't even do an August reading journal spread this month. I just kept pushing it off, oh, I'll do it this weekend. Oh, I'll do it next week. Now it's September 1st. So I still need to make that and fill it out, but usually we make sure that's filled out together ahead of the wrap-up discussion, and I have all the stats I also document in there. So because I don't have that, I'm going to rely on future JC to do all of that and just put it up here on the screen. So I do like looking at page count versus number of books because it can be such a variety month to month. I could read 5 books last month and read, I don't know, 3,000 pages, or I could read 5 books this month and read 1,500 pages. It's just so dependent on how long the books are. So I think it's just kind of some fun stuff to look at. Now, I do know that I did read 9 books this month. That's about the only stat that I know. So I'm gonna go through the books in the order that I read them. I do have most of the books physically with me still, but as we know, I'm a big audiobook girl. I'm a big library user. So the first book that I read this month was from the library, and it was called To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn. I love this book. It was such a surprise to me because I went into the library just kind of browsing around. I saw this as a YA fantasy and I was like, okay, let's pick it up. Why is no one talking about this book? Hold on, what did I even rate it? I gave it 4.75. I remember having such close 5-star feelings. It was just not exactly there, but oh my gosh. Okay, also a quick disclaimer, because my brain is having to do this under the wire as far as filming the wrap up because I leave town. I need this film so I can edit it and not have to think about it. I am not completely thinking all the details in a cohesive way right now. So I'm gonna put on the screen just a couple bullet points to give you the vibes of the books, and I'm just gonna focus on my thoughts and feelings reading it. So 4.75 stars, absolutely insane. I think the second book in this series is called the Miss Lens series, and I think it comes out in December. So go ahead, check this out from your library if you're a little hesitant, but I absolutely love this. It's a YA fantasy romance, and it's very YA in the sense spice level, but it was so well done. The found family element in it, the dialogue, the writing, I just remember being obsessed with Catherine Quinn's writing within the first few chapters. So if you take anything from this video, please go read that YA fantasy. The next thing I read was the graphic novel Heartstopper. This is volume 3. I'm just slowly getting through them because I do not want to speed through it. I want to just embrace every moment of Heartstopper. I'm completely and utterly obsessed. I don't rate graphic novels at this point because I'm just new to it, and I just know that I love the feeling I get reading this and all the thoughts that it provokes, but I don't know how to exactly rate them so far. But if you guys are at all hesitant to read Heartstopper, give it a shot. Check it out from your library. They all have them. It's just so precious, and the adaptation on Netflix is literal perfection. The way they incorporate kind of all of the graphic novel-y animations that you see here into the show, I couldn't think of a better adaptation, honestly. Okay, at this point, we're 2 weeks into the month. I've finished The Kill a Shadow, I think, within a few days of the month, and I read Heartstopper Volume 3, the day after. Now, it's been a week. I haven't read a single thing. I'm thinking, am I in a slump? Suddenly, I pick up The Grandest by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, and I read this in a day. I was listening to the audiobook as a hybrid situation. Oh my gosh. Jennifer Lynn Barnes is a great author to get you out of a mental slump. I don't know how to describe it. I didn't feel I was in a slump in the sense nothing I was reading was hitting because I just wasn't picking up a book, but I was just I just need to read something again because I've been so busy hanging out with friends and creating those memories that I just wasn't reading the same way. It was so nice to pick this up and just fly through it. I gave this book 4 stars. Yeah, I just had a good time. I believe this is the first book in her new series, but it's a part of the Inheritance Games. It's just kind of a spin-off because we see the Grandest game get introduced in the final book of the Inheritance Games trilogy. And so instead of kind of making that another book in the Inheritance Games, they made it its own series. So I think we're gonna get more of this, and I'm so excited. I just had such a fun time with it. Like, the games, the puzzles, I continue to be amazed at Jennifer Lynn Barnes and like the way her brain works and the way she can put all these riddles together. Absolutely amazing. So if you have any interest in maybe just her writing, you could totally jump into this and not read the Inheritance Games trilogy. They do a decent enough job of kind of giving you what you need to know from those without major, well, no, there's spoilers, but if you're just like, I don't really care to read that, I think I just want to jump into this, no harm, no foul. So I finished the Grandest Games. I think I'm on top of the world. I'm like, okay, good, good, good. You're no longer in this slump, mental, whatever situation you were in. A week passes and I don't pick up a book. So now I'm in this second crisis because I'm like, I was reading on average like 10 to 15 books a month the last few months. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, the month is going to be over before you know it and you read 3 books. And I realized I definitely was hanging out with friends a lot more, so I just didn't have the same like time to read. But I also wasn't kind of putting myself in positions to read when I could. I would just like sit there on my phone. So I'm like, okay, new goal. Let's just read 5 books this month. You've already read 3. Just make sure you read 2 more. Like, use the time to kind of like push yourself a bit, because I was just sitting there scrolling on my phone. So I was like, no, like, I like those moments in a day, but like, don't waste 3 hours in the evening doing that when you could pick up a book. So this is where we end the month so strong. The next book that I pick up is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. No one told me. No one told me. You guys, okay, I will say I first got this from the library because I was seeing a lot of people I follow on Bookstagram that I usually align with their thoughts and opinions. I saw them raving about it and I'm like, okay, like, I kind of want to read it. So I checked it out from the library, completely obsessed. I gave it 4.5 stars, like chapter 2, chapter 3. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I shipping our main character with death? Such a weird feeling, but it makes sense if you read it. Like, it was perfection, to the point that I went and I bought the physical copy because I need it on my shelf. I'm going to continue on with this, I believe, trilogy. I don't think it's a series. The 3rd book just came out and I think it wraps up there. So I am continuing on with this in September. The next book is Fox Club, which I already have the physical copy of, and I have the audiobook. So I'm continuing on with this. I'm utterly obsessed. The 3rd book, like I said, just came out. So if you're interested in this, again, utilize your library if you're a little hesitant, but I really don't think you will be. The audiobook is a must. Unfortunately, it's a must because it was so good. We see like additional characters in here where you get their voice, and that voice was attractive. You get Death's voice in here. I was attracted to Death. There, I said it. There, I said it. At this point, I'm headed to Asheville. I'm going to see Allie. If you haven't seen those videos on my channel, she is a book girly that I just love and adore. She's out in Asheville where I went to visit her. We got an Airbnb and we basically just did a readathon. We just read all weekend in that stunning Airbnb. So this is where I knocked out the rest of the books for the month. So on the plane, I finished my book club pick, which was Butcher and Blackbird. I gave this 4.5 stars. I ate this up. If you know me, I'm a true crime, like, documentary lover. I absolutely love them. I'm like sitting in my bed eating my popcorn. Like, this is so amazing. Right or wrong, it's a thing. So I love this so much. The romance, spectacular, but like the true crime feeling of this, because they're 2 serial killers falling in love. But like, in their defense, they're killing the bad guys. You know what I mean? Like, they're killing other serial killers. So it's like, okay. You know, it's just like a minor detail in the story, but I absolutely love this. I am definitely going to continue this. I hope to continue it in September with Leather and Lark, but nonetheless, I know that I'm going to want to continue this. I just ate it up. I ate it up. I do have the reading vlog up on my Patreon full of all the spoiler thoughts, and I was also like updating the Discord as I was reading it. It was just like so fun. I'm so glad that this won because I was dying to read it, and I was like, okay, good, now I have like people to read it with. So the last 4 books that I read this month were all a part of that 24-hour readathon. I started out with the X Vals by Jessica Joyce. I expected this to be 5 stars. It was, oh my gosh. Like, you guys, I was crying in the prologue. Like, I ate this up. I love Jessica Joyce's writing. I ate up You with a View like a few months ago, and so knowing that this was coming out, I was like, okay, for sure I have to read it. A lot of people that I, again, align with my thoughts and opinions absolutely raved about this, so I knew it was not going to disappoint. I loved it. Okay. Oh, my bookmark. That's important. But yes, like, it was such a bingeable read. Outside of just, you know, obviously reading for a readathon, you're just sitting there and reading. I think I would have wanted to read this in one sitting or maybe two. So if you haven't heard of Jessica Joyce, crazy, I recommend both. I recommend You with a View and I recommend this. They're not like interconnected, but it's just like both are spectacular in their own way. And her writing is just so good, and the way she like puts the two characters together and in these situations, and like, oh my gosh, you guys. When's her next book? No, actually, I didn't read it, but at the end of this, it says, continue reading for a preview of Jessica Joyce's next book, The Soulmate Charade. Now, how do I get that book? No, like, how do I get it? I fell in love. In short, I fell in love. The next book I picked up for the readathon was Daughter of the Pirate King. Now, this is something that Allie actually recommended for me. We did a video on her channel where we basically recommended each other a book. So we sent each other like our physical TBRs, and then we chose. She chose this one for me, and I expected this to be, I don't know, like a 4.25, I believe is what I put, because she did like some TikTok or something where I like predicted the star ratings of each of the books I was going to read, and I gave this 4.25. I love this. I will say, when I first finished it, I expected that this was going to have more of a like conclusion for one of the plot lines, but then I learned, no, it's a duology that you do need to continue. Like the way it ended with one of the plot lines, I was like, oh, like that makes sense. Like I could see where, you know, we kind of wrap this one up, but if you want to continue this adventure, like definitely read Daughter of the Siren Queen. But I thought the other plot line would be wrapped up as well. Wrong. So I was so mad first reading it, or first finishing it, and then when I like slept on it and woke up, I was like, okay, no, with the like intention in mind that you're gonna continue the duology, this was really well done. It is YA, and I don't know how to describe it other than I just had a fun time. Like, it was very like well paced. The writing was bingeable. I really loved our main female character. I loved getting in her head. I loved her internal dialogue. I loved her dialogue with others. The main like male love interest, chef's kiss. Like chef's kiss. Like it was just such a great time, and I would not have picked this up without her kind of pushing me to do so. Like this was on my TBR to do eventually, but I don't think I would have picked it up anytime soon at least. So if you're hesitant to pick this up, but you've seen a lot of people talk about it like me, do it. Do it. The audiobook was good. It wasn't something spectacular, but I mean, I liked listening to it. I feel like it was interesting. It was fine. So I did already check out from the library Daughter of the Siren Queen, and I got the audiobook from Libby as well. So it's going to be continued in September. I'm finishing this duology. The last physical book I brought with me for the readathon was The North Wind by Alexandria Warwick. So this is a book I checked out from the library, but it was a part of a Barnes & Noble book club pick that some of my friends are in. So I was like, okay, this is me perfect. I need to finish this. Oh my gosh, this was so unexpected. What did I give this? Did I say? Oh yeah, Daughter of the Siren Queen, I told you. I gave this one also 4.25. I'm very like, I don't know, hesitant on 4.25 or even 4.5 because my reading experience was crazy. I was like giggling, screaming, crying, throwing up in the best way. But this was a total shock to me because when I went into it, I mixed it up with another book that was very YA fantasy. And so I just thought like, oh, I'll probably give this like 3.5, maybe 3.75. Like I'll probably have a fine time. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. This was amazing, and I can't wait for the next book in the kind of like interconnected standalone going on. We're gonna get The West Wind in, it's not September, but I think it's like November. I think it's some point this year, and I just like can't wait for it. It's really cool because like the interconnected standalone part is like there's 4 brothers. I'm assuming north, south, east, west, and we get West brother in the North Wind. So it makes sense that then we're continuing on with him in the second book. But this was so good. It's a true enemies to lovers fantasy romance. Like we throw around the whole enemies to lovers term a lot in the book community, but this really was. Like she made a few attempts on his life. Yep. Yeah, but like we loved it. Like I just loved them so much. I don't know, I just had a great time with it. I think it was a pleasant surprise, and the audiobook was really good, and I just, of course, I read it in one sitting because like, hello, like readathon, but like I think I would have wanted to binge read this because of how like bingeable it was. The writing was really well in my opinion, and I don't know if it was just my experience of like sitting there focused on it that made me love it so much, but like I did. There you go. And then the last book I ended the readathon with, which in turn the last book I finished in August, was The Little Girl I Always Wanted by Anya Mora. This was something I listened to as an audio only, and I was looking for a book to finish the readathon that I already had and I knew I would finish in the time left. I think I had like 3 or 4 hours left, and this was like a 7 to 8 hour audiobook, but because I listened to it at 2 times speed, I was like, oh, this will be perfect. And it was one of those just like psychological thrillers. So it was fun. I think I gave it, what, 3? Yeah, 3. It was mid. It was nothing special, but I was definitely entertained by the like story and the concept. It's just little girls kind of going missing, and you have all these different families in this town that are kind of like interconnected, and it's kind of like who's involved here, what's going on, and it was just entertaining. So, I mean, it's not something I necessarily like heavily recommend. I didn't dislike it. If it's something you've seen that you're like, oh, like maybe I'm gonna listen to that or something, like it was mid. It was fine. I just wanted something that I could kind of listen to and kind of give me that true crime feeling. It did. It did exactly what it was set out to do for me. So these are the books that I read in August, well, and some that I've returned to the library, but I would say just talking about it with you guys right now, it was such an amazing reading month. Just talking about all the 4+ star ratings and just looking at this stack, I know the experiences I had with some of these books were just spectacular, like making me feel all the things. I was so giddy, I was crying, like it was such a good month, and I'm very excited for September. As a little reading spoiler for what's to come, just this morning I finished The Assassin's Blade, so I'm officially on my Throne of Glass journey. I'm literally loving it. So you're getting that part 1 vlog as soon as I finish Heir of Fire. So it's gonna be part 1 where I'm finishing this book, and then Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and then part 2 will be the remainder of the series. So I'm very excited to read this in September, and then I'm just gonna be mood reading. I'm going to be mood reading. I do not have a set TBR at this point. I have a lot of books checked out from the library. I have a lot of books on my physical TBR that I'm interested in, so we'll see what I get to in September. Please let me know if you guys read any of the books that I read in August and what you thought of them, or if you guys took any recommendations from here. I am going to be filming my kind of fall content in the next couple of weeks as far as fall recommendations, my fall TBR, all of that. But for now, we're wrapping this up, and I will see you guys in my next video.